Religion has become a dirty word. God has become a dirty word. And rightfully so, because as we look back at our past, we see how various groups and organizations have used these terms in order to control people, repress, and just overall deny science and all sorts of tomfoolery that goes along with those terms. But it is important, the one-liner that I give, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. In deciding that you want to reconstruct your religion, don't throw out concepts like God as a personality, which happened in the New Age. The New Age was supposed to be about taking all of the various concepts of religion and the best of them and bringing them together. But largely, they have latched on to the Buddhist understanding of a non-personal deity, and they do not, for the most part, go in for the term of the parent aspect, the personality aspect of God, which the word symbol, the shortcut is God the Father. You can call it God the Mother. That doesn't make a difference. The important part is the parent personality. Now, why is this important? That is how we understand ourselves as cosmic brothers and sisters amongst all humans, amongst all beings in the entire planet, under one parent, under one divine personality. And we understand that having faith in that personality is how our personality survives throughout the ages. So, it's an important aspect to have. And we're going to look here at the social problems of religion and about how we can begin to reconstruct those problems and why we need to do that, but have overall, still, while we're still growing with the times, we still are having overall concepts, these unchallengeable dogmas, such as things like God is love and that sort of understanding. So let's look at this, the social problems of religion. Oh, and last thing I'll say, and those aspects, however, this is why the Urantia book is important. Those aspects are taught in this book, those Buddhist understandings of the divinity. Okay, that is the other aspect of God. God is deity and divinity. Divinity is that all-pervasive understanding. So the New Age is not incorrect. The Buddhists are not incorrect. That is an aspect. They call it God the Absolute, the unqualified absolute, and various other things. So they can still have all of that other understanding. But it is the association of the parent personality which is going to reunite the planet rather than be something that's a little too far off for everybody to grasp, like God the Absolute. Okay, here we go. Religion achieves its highest social ministry when it has least connection with the secular institutions of society. We don't have that right now. We're very tied in with our secular institutions. No matter which religion you look at, it has a very quite tied into the social order. In past ages, since social reforms were largely confined to the moral realms, religions did not have to adjust its attitude to extensive changes in economic and political systems. The chief problem of religion was the endeavor to replace evil with good within the existing social order of political and economic culture. Think of your Christian nationalism. They're basically a political party. Religion has thus indirectly tended to perpetuate the established order of society, to foster the maintenance of the existent type of civilization, always trying to hearken back to that golden era, which never existed on this planet, because if it was a golden era for you on this planet, there was another group that was being repressed and oppressed. So it's not trying to hearken back, throw that concept out the window. But religion should not be directly concerned either with the creation of new social orders, okay? That's not what religion is trying to do. It's trying to divorce itself from that, or with the preservation of old ones. Not completely divorced, but it's, you'll see. True religion does oppose violence as a technique of social evolution, but it does not oppose the intelligent efforts of society to adapt its usages and adjust its institutions to new economic conditions and cultural requirements. So if you are stagnant, it's really speaking about the stagnation of religion and how it's all crystallized in creeds and dogmas. They're not going to be updated. You know, all the let's say the attendance in the churches is going down, because beings don't want to sit there and listen to a wizard talk about how evolution isn't real. That people don't want that anymore, so they have to update in order to keep people from throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because that's what ends up happening. You sit in that church and you hear a wizard talk about how evolution isn't real, a man dressed as a wizard, and then all of a sudden you're going to say, well, God must not be real because this guy's purely an idiot. Religion did not approve. Well, that he's not an idiot. He's just dogmatized. Religion did not approve, or maybe an idiot, of the occasional social reforms of past centuries. But in the 20th century, it is of necessity called upon to face adjustment to extensive and continuing social reconstruction. Conditions of living alter so rapidly that institutional modifications must be greatly accelerated, and religion must accordingly quicken its adaptation to this new and ever-changing social order. Now, the thing is, religion, we have living truth that stems from God and is updated every single moment. So it's very easy for us to keep pace with all these ever-changing social orders. We can see the end from the beginning. Religion and social reconstruction. Mechanical inventions and the dissemination of knowledge are modifying civilization. Think about your internet. Certain economic adjustments and social changes are imperative. And now your AI, in fact, if cultural disaster is to be avoided. This new and oncoming social order will not settle down complacently for a millennium. So that is kind of a breaking of the shackles to think that we have to change the world now, and that we're going to see this drastic change in our lifetime, because it says it won't settle down for a millennium. However, there's another part that says with God all things are possible, and we are overdue for a spiritual awakening. So even if we do have a mass shift and a mass spiritual awakening, which might be very well possible, and the social order might have to catch up with it, and that's okay. The human race must become reconciled to a procession of changes, adjustments, and readjustments. Mankind is on the march toward a new and unrevealed planetary destiny, which means that they're not saying what this new destiny, what they predict, okay? It's unrevealed, what our destiny is. But we have to participate. It's free will, choice. It's not a definite. Religion must become a forceful influence for moral stability and spiritual progression, functioning dynamically. Now, if you look at something like your Amish, they're not functioning dynamically. They're just crystallizing that and staying in that. And that's why everybody in the world is an Amish, because a lot of people look at that and say, well, geez, a technology would help me do X, Y, Z, and so if it was dynamic, then it could keep pace in the midst of these ever-changing conditions and never-ending economic adjustments. See, that's the important thing too, where we realize we have to do this redistribution of wealth, because it's dangerous to have money so concentrated in the power of these various beings on the planet. But like if you look at your Christian nationalism, they look at a Bernie like he's the devil, a Bernie Sanders, when he wanted to do redistribution of wealth, because they're tied in with whatever their party. They have to be the Republican Party. So if a Democrat has a good idea, then he obviously must be the devil. They can't. They're too bound up in that political quagmire in order to unwind the religions from him and unwind the economics from them. Urantia society can never hope to settle down as in past ages. The social ship has steamed out of the sheltered bays. See, we're not going back. Not to line from what's her name, okay. Sheltered bays of established tradition. It has begun its cruise upon the high seas of evolutionary destiny. And the soul of man, as never before in the world's history, needs carefully to scrutinize its charts of morality and painstakingly to observe the compass of religious guidance. The paramount mission of religion as a social influence is to stabilize the ideals. See, now your left wing hates that. They're very anti any sort of religion to be a stabilizing ideal. It doesn't have to be part of the politics. This is what this is saying. It shouldn't be part of the politics. But if those men and women, those religionists, are in politics, then they can have their ideals and bring them, their spiritual ideals, and bring them into politics. So that's where the one way that the left wing is going to be the more regressive party if they choose to not understand that divine ideals, when simplified into the brother and sisterhood of all and the son and daughtership of one God, that simple aspect that we can all agree on. That is to be the next world religion, and that is exactly what Jesus was preaching. During these dangerous times of transition from one phase of civilization to another, from one level of culture to another, and they are dangerous. We see that these days. What about even your drone strikes? You got this machine that can do this killing. You're gonna have these AIs, all different ways that there's a lot of extra capability. Look at just your nuclear weapon, how much capability you have to destroy the world 1,000 times over, but if 10 guys press a button. Religion has no new duties to perform, but is urgently called upon to function as a wise guide and experienced counselor in all of these new and rapidly changing human situations. See, it is to be the leading force. It's the teacher. Religion is the teacher. Nowadays, it's not. It's the thing that a lot of people look at and say that, well, that's either your belief or just your whacked out idea, because there's so many of that going on. So it's rejected. It's not even an equal with these other political systems. It's rejected. Society is becoming more mechanical, more compact, more complex, and more critically interdependent. Religion must function to prevent these new and intimate interassociations from becoming mutually retrogressive and even destructive. We have the capability of destroying. So religion must function to prevent. So it's about unity, not uniformity. Everybody can still be themselves. They can still add whatever 1,000,001 things they want to that simple religion of faith in one God and brother and sisterhood of all. You can add 800 million things about how Vishnu did this, and you're gonna do yoga, and religion must act as the cosmic salt which prevents the ferments of progression from destroying the cultural savor of civilization. These new social relations and economic upheavals can result in lasting brotherhood, but only by the ministry of religion. And I see that people like left-wingers, for instance, fancy themselves secular humanists, but they spend half of their time shit-talking the right wing. And the same thing goes with the right wing and the left. They are so interdependent on each other because they don't have anything deeper. They're secular humanist organizations. So for them to be right, the other needs to be wrong. But as people that are spiritual, we understand that our ideals are eternal. They're more fundamental than any human concept, any human political party, anything in the human mind, period, creator of the human mind. So our ideals are so completely steadfast, and they give us superhuman abilities in order to be more humanitarian, but tempered with wisdom. A godless humanitarian is, humanly speaking, a noble gesture, but true religion is the only power which can lastingly increase the responsiveness of one social group to the needs and sufferings of other social groups. See, that's where that superhuman power comes in, because then you're calling on things that are just beyond human understanding in order to meet these needs and sufferings. And it might even be a measure like, all right, well, the criminals aren't allowed to breed because they're going to just create more and more victims. They're going to basically be able to put themselves outside of the wall through having a baby, right? And then that baby is going to carry those genetics then into the society. It's like putting the criminal outside of the wall. If you put those genetics outside of the wall, those psychopathic genetics, which we know are handed down, the scientists know that it's hereditary. So you're putting that being outside of the wall, then they're just going to create more victims. So they shouldn't call it crime rate. They should call it victim rate, because every single one of those crimes, there's a person sitting there crying that their family was just torn apart by the XYZ happening. And so we have to not only temper that with that altruism, temper it with wisdom. And that what might be where somebody that has a false sentiment or a bleeding heart might say, no, don't take away that criminal's right to breed, because that seems so cruel that you would do that. Well, he just killed somebody, and his child is going to kill somebody. I mean, according to, like, if you do statistics and look at statistics, you know, this like hereditary, like I said, I believe I spoke in another video about this. I read this article, and I think it was Scientific American, the headline, "We're breeding future criminals." So think, every time there's a crime, there's a victim, there's a person crying there. Shouldn't we be trying to prevent that type of thing? In the past, institutional religion could remain passive while the upper strata of society turned a deaf ear to the sufferings and oppressions of the helpless lower strata. But in modern times, the lower strata social orders are no longer so abjectly ignorant nor so politically helpless. So, you know, we have a voice now. You know, things are slowly starting to, it's not just all of the serfs out there, but I mean, compared to the billionaires, we are just all the serfs. But yeah, back to this. This isn't, but when you're spiritual though, you can say, hey, murder a guy, you know, you lost your right to have children now because you did this murder. But when you're spiritual, you understand that he's going to have life after life and world after world in order to do all of the things that his heart desires. If he gets his heart right, he make amends with God, then that is not any sort of final, you know, like, this is kindergarten here. But we have to have law and order here while we are on kindergarten. Religion must not become organically involved in the secular work of social reconstruction and economic organization. Now, that is that separation of church and politics. And they do say in another part, it's, you're not going in as a group. So it's not Christian nationalism that should change the political structure, but those people who are believers of God should have the positions and use their ideals in order to govern the positions. So they should say, geez, would Jesus increase military spending by double this year? No, I don't think he would. Okay, so it's not Christian nationalism saying that. It's me and my own personal religious things. So it's not religion. It's the religionist that must restructure, not the religion. But it must actively keep pace with all these advances in civilization by making clear-cut and vigorous restatements, right? Truth is living, we have to restate, of its moral mandates and spiritual precepts, its progressive philosophy of human living and transcendental survival. See, progressive, folks. We have transcendent survival. We have all of these, a completely different mindset. We're existing in a completely different state of mind. The world is different for us when we become spiritual. And so that is, we have to keep updating that, right? Progressing. The spirit of religion is eternal, but the form of its expression must be restated every time the dictionary of human language is revised. I mean, look at the brilliant way that they put these things out, the dictionary of human language. But it's saying the spirit of it is eternal love, all of those values, mercy, justice. So it's just, and then just keep this in mind. Whenever we read all of that brilliance, right, keep in mind what that is compared to the whole of the book. Okay, so we just read those. Look at all of this, folks. This is just brilliance. It's superhuman, okay? Anyways, thanks for checking out the video. Please like and subscribe. We're getting close to 1,000 here, so thanks to everybody who's been participating, and I appreciate you all, and we'll see you in the next video.